The ancient fleet slumbered, waiting for Earth's darkest hour. That moment arrived when the Draconis warships breached our solar system's outer defenses. Philip Gordon's comm device erupted with urgent alerts. As a high-ranking official in Earth's United Defense Force, he'd feared this day would come. The alien armada had effortlessly bypassed humanity's most advanced defensive systems, leaving them utterly exposed. Gordon sprinted through the corridors of UDF headquarters, alarms blaring around him. He burst into the command center, greeted by a sea of grim faces illuminated by holographic displays. The room fell silent as he entered. "Status report," Gordon barked. A junior officer responded, voice quavering. "Sir, Draconis forces have initiated their first strike. Major cities and military installations worldwide are under heavy bombardment. Civilian casualties are extensive." Gordon's jaw clenched as he absorbed the information. Humanity's worst nightmare had become reality. Their technological inferiority to the Draconis was painfully evident as reports of devastation poured in from every corner of the globe. Before Gordon could formulate a response, his secure line chirped. The voice on the other end was terse. "Project Lazarus is go. Report to Rocky Mountain Facility immediately." Gordon's eyes widened. Project Lazarus was more myth than reality, a highly classified program he'd only heard whispers about. If they were activating it now, the situation was even more dire than he'd imagined. Within the hour, Gordon found himself descending deep beneath the Rocky Mountains. The elevator doors opened to reveal a bustling underground complex. Scientists and military personnel rushed about with palpable urgency. Dr. Elena Reeves, the project's lead scientist, greeted him. "Commander Gordon, thank you for coming. Follow me." She led him to a secure briefing room and activated a holographic display. 3 months ago, an archaeological expedition in Antarctica made an extraordinary discovery, a vast underground hangar containing a fleet of dormant spacecraft. Gordon's brow furrowed. "Alien technology?" Reeves shook her head. "Human, but estimated to be over 100,000 years old. The technological capabilities of these vessels far exceed anything we, or the Draconis, currently possess." Gordon struggled to process this information. "Why haven't we deployed them already?" "No, we've been working around the clock to understand and activate the technology," Reeves explained. "But we've hit roadblocks. That's where you come in. We need you to lead a mission to Antarctica and pilot these ancient vessels." As if on cue, Gordon's comm device lit up with new alerts. Draconis forces had established beachheads in strategic locations worldwide. Earth's military forces were crumbling under the onslaught. "Time is of the essence, Commander," Reeves urged. "If we can't activate this fleet, humanity faces certain defeat, possibly extinction." Gordon nodded grimly. Within hours, he and a hastily assembled crew of elite pilots were en route to Antarctica. The fate of humanity rested on their shoulders. Their transport streaked across the sky, pushing its engines to the limit, but the Draconis were everywhere. Alien fighters appeared on their radar, closing fast. "Evasive maneuvers," Gordon shouted. The pilot's skills were impressive, but the alien technology was superior. A blast rocked the transport, sending it into a spiraling descent. Gordon braced for impact as the icy Antarctic landscape rushed up to meet them. The crash landing was violent but survivable. Gordon pulled himself from the wreckage, assessing their situation. They were stranded in one of the most inhospitable environments on Earth, with Draconis patrols undoubtedly en route to finish the job. "Everyone who can walk on your feet," Gordon commanded, "and we move now." The surviving crew emerged, battered but determined. Gordon pointed towards the horizon. "The hangar is 50 miles in that direction. We have no choice but to go on foot." As they set out across the frozen wasteland, Gordon's mind raced. The ancient fleet was humanity's last hope. But another chilling thought occurred to him. If the Draconis knew about the fleet, they'd be converging on the hangar as well. It was a race against time, alien invaders, and the merciless Antarctic elements. Humanity's fate hung in the balance, with Earth's ancient legacy waiting to be awakened. Gordon's eyes scanned the frozen horizon as he led his battered team across the Antarctic wasteland. The wind howled mercilessly, carrying ice crystals that stung their exposed skin. Each step was a battle against exhaustion and the biting cold. "There!" shouted Dr. Elena Reyes, pointing ahead. A dark shape loomed in the distance, barely visible through the swirling snow. As they approached, the outline of a massive hangar materialized. Gordon's heart raced. This was it, humanity's last hope. The team worked quickly to bypass the outer defenses, their training kicking in despite their fatigue. Gordon input the final override code, and with a groan of ancient machinery, the hangar doors began to part. They stepped inside, and for a moment, all was silent. As their eyes adjusted to the dim light, gasps of awe echoed through the cavernous space. Row upon row of sleek, otherworldly spacecraft stretched before them, their metallic surfaces untouched by time. "My God," whispered one of the pilots, "it's real." Gordon approached the nearest vessel, its design unlike anything he'd ever seen. He reached out to touch the hull, but as his hand neared, a shimmering energy field flared to life, repelling him. "It's biolocked," Dr. Reyes called out, studying a nearby control panel. "These ships, they're key to specific genetic markers." Gordon's brow furrowed. "Can we bypass it?" Reyes shook her head. "Not easily, but I have a theory." She pulled out a portable DNA scanner. "These markers, they might correspond to an ancient human lineage. We should all get scanned." One by one, the team members submitted to the test. Each time, the scanner beeped negative, until it reached Gordon. The device chirped, its screen flashing green. Reyes's eyes widened. "Commander, you're a partial match." Gordon stared at the scanner, then at the ship before him. "What does this mean?" "It means," Reyes said slowly, "that you might be a direct descendant of the people who built this fleet." Before Gordon could process this revelation, the ship's energy field dissipated. A hatch slid open with a soft hiss. "I guess that's an invitation," Gordon muttered. He took a deep breath and stepped inside. The moment he crossed the threshold, the ship's systems hummed to life. Holographic displays flickered into existence, filled with symbols he'd never seen before. Yet somehow, he understood them. Gordon's mind reeled as information flooded his consciousness. Images flashed before his eyes. Earth as it was eons ago, humans clad in advanced technology traversing the stars. Then catastrophe, a great cataclysm forcing humanity back to Earth, their knowledge and achievements lost to time. He saw the fleet being built, a final safeguard against future threats, waiting, dormant, for the moment they would be needed most. That moment was now. Gordon's reverie was shattered by the sound of explosions. Dr. Reyes's voice crackled over the comm. "Commander, Draconis forces have breached the facility. They're pouring in." Gordon's hands flew over the controls, instinct guiding his movements. The ship's weapon systems came online, their power unlike anything he'd ever encountered. "Reyes," he barked, "get as many of these ships activated as you can. I'm going to buy us some time." With a thought, Gordon guided the ancient vessel out of its docking bay. The ship responded to his mental commands as if it were an extension of his own body. The hangar's access tunnel loomed ahead, a tight fit for the sleek craft. Gordon gritted his teeth and accelerated. The ship shot through the tunnel, inertial dampeners protecting him from the G-forces that should have turned him to paste. They burst into the open air above Antarctica. Immediately, Gordon's sensors lit up with incoming Draconis fighters. The enemy craft opened fire, their energy weapons lancing towards Gordon's ship. He braced for impact, but the shot splashed harmlessly against an invisible barrier. The ship's shields had absorbed attacks that would have vaporized any modern vessel. Gordon retaliated. A thought, and his ship unleashed a barrage of energy pulses. The Draconis fighters exploded in silent blossoms of fire and debris. As he engaged in a dogfight unlike any in Earth's history, Gordon's comm crackled to life. A grim voice reported, Draconis fleet has begun systematic destruction of major population centers, civilian casualties in the millions and climbing. Gordon's fists tight. He had to end this quickly. The ship's AI merged with his consciousness, enhancing his reflexes and compensating for his lack of experience. Together, they danced through the sky, outmaneuvering and outgunning every Draconis ship they encountered. Word of the ancient vessel's appearance spread rapidly. Across the globe, beleaguered human defenders looked to the skies with renewed hope. But the Draconis were quick to recognize the threat. Gordon's sensors detected a massive energy signature descending from orbit. Commander Umbra, the Draconis leader, had redirected a significant portion of his fleet to crush this new resistance. As Gordon prepared to face this overwhelming force, an urgent transmission came through from Dr. Reyes. "Commander, we've found a way to quickly attune the ships to human pilots. We can deploy the entire fleet, but—" Her voice cut off, replaced by the sound of weapons fire. Draconis troops in the hangar were overwhelmed. Gordon's heart raced. The inactive fleet below represented humanity's best hope for survival. But abandoning the fight here would leave Earth's remaining defenders exposed to the incoming Draconis armada. As energy blasts from the descending warships began to light up the Antarctic sky, Gordon faced an impossible choice. Protect the inactive fleet and ensure its activation, or continue the battle above to buy time for Earth's forces. The fate of humanity hung in the balance. Gordon's hands tightened on the controls as he prepared to make his decision. Gordon's mind raced, weighing the impossible choice before him. The inactive fleet below represented humanity's best hope, but abandoning the fight above would leave Earth's remaining defenders exposed. In a split-second decision, he banked the ancient ship hard, diving back towards the access tunnel. "Reyes, hold on, I'm coming back," he shouted into the comm as he expertly maneuvered the vessel through the narrow passage. The hangar erupted into view, a chaotic scene of flashing energy weapons and acrid smoke. Draconis troops had breached the facility, their angular armor glinting in the emergency lights as they advanced on the human defenders. Gordon's fingers danced across the controls, targeting systems locking onto the alien intruders. With pinpoint precision, he unleashed a barrage of energy pulses that vaporized the front line of Draconis soldiers. The ship's weapons were leagues beyond anything Earth's military possessed, each shot finding its mark with devastating effect. As he created a defensive perimeter, Gordon felt a strange tingling at the base of his skull. The ship's systems seemed to reach out, connecting with his mind on a deeper level. Suddenly he could sense the entire hangar facility as if it were an extension of his own body. Acting on instinct, Gordon reached out with his thoughts. Hidden panels in the walls slid open, revealing automated defense turrets. They whirred to life, tracking and eliminating Draconis troops with ruthless efficiency. Energy barriers sprang into existence, creating a protective bubble around Dr. Reyes and her team. "Commander!" Reyes called out, her voice filled with equal parts relief and urgency. "We've had a breakthrough. I can attune the ships to human pilots, but I need your help." Gordon landed his vessel and rushed to join Reyes at a central control station. She worked feverishly, her fingers flying over holographic displays. "Your genetic markers are the key," she explained, not looking up from her work. "If we can transfer them to other pilots, they should be able to bond with the ships." As if on cue, a group of Earth's elite pilots burst into the hangar, having fought their way through Draconis forces to reach the facility. They looked battered but determined, their eyes widening at the sight of the ancient fleet. "Perfect timing," Reyes muttered. She turned to Gordon. "Commander, I need a sample of your DNA." Gordon complied, watching in fascination as Reyes fed his genetic material into a complex machine. It hummed to life, bathing the newly arrived pilots in a soft blue light. "It's working," Reyes breathed, studying the readouts. "Their DNA is accepting the markers. They should be able to interface with the ships now." One by one, the pilots approached the dormant vessels. As they touched the hulls, energy fields flared to life, then dissipated. Hatches opened, inviting them inside. Gordon returned to his ship, interfacing with its systems once more. Through this connection, he sensed something different, a larger presence amongst the fleet. His eyes were drawn to a massive vessel at the far end of the hangar. "Reyes," he called out, "what's that ship over there?" The scientist followed his gaze, her eyes widening. I don't know. We hadn't been able to access it before. Try connecting with it, Commander." Gordon focused his thoughts on the imposing craft. Immediately, a flood of information poured into his mind. Images of Earth's ancient past, of a spacefaring human civilization, flashed before his eyes. He saw the devastating war with the Draconis, the retreat to Earth, the decision to hide their technology and knowledge. "It's called Progenitor," Gordon said, his voice filled with awe. "It's a command ship containing the history of our ancestors and the secrets of their technology." As this revelation sank in, alarms blared throughout the facility. Colonel Marcus Steele's voice crackled over the comms, tight with urgency. "Gordon, we're out of time. Draconis forces have overrun our major cities. They're deploying some kind of superweapon in orbit. If we don't stop them now, Earth is finished." Gordon's heart set strong. He turned to the assembled pilots, who stood ready beside their newly bonded ships. "You heard the Colonel. Earth needs us. Let's show these Draconis what humanity is really capable of." With a thought, Gordon commanded the hangar doors to open. The ancient fleet rose as one, ascending through the access tunnel and bursting into the Antarctic sky. Gordon led the charge in Progenitor, its advanced sensors already mapping out the orbital battlefield. The scene that greeted them was one of apocalyptic proportions. Draconis warships filled the sky, raining destruction on Earth's surface, but as the human fleet engaged, the tide began to turn. Energy shields effortlessly absorbed Draconis weapons fire, while the ancient ships' retaliatory strikes tore through alien vessels with terrifying ease. Gordon coordinated the attack through Progenitor's command systems, directing squadrons with unparalleled precision. As they fought their way through the Draconis fleet, Gordon's sensors detected a massive energy signature in high orbit. The superweapon Colonel Steele had warned about came into view, a colossal platform dripping with ominous technology. "All ships, form up on me," Gordon commanded. "We're taking that thing out before it can fire." The human squadron punched through the last line of Draconis defenders, accelerating towards the superweapon. As they approached, Gordon could see energy building along its frame, preparing to unleash devastation on the planet below. Time seemed to slow as Gordon analyzed the weapon's defenses, searching for a weakness. The fate of humanity hung in the balance, the ancient technology humming around him as he prepared to make his attack run. Gordon's fingers danced across the Progenitor's controls, his mind linked intimately with the ancient vessel's systems. The superweapon loomed ahead, a monstrous construct of alien technology that dwarfed even the largest ships in Earth's fleet. "All ships, form up on me," Gordon commanded, his voice steady despite the gravity of the situation. "We're taking that thing out before it can fire." As the human squadron accelerated towards their target, the space around them erupted into chaos. Draconis ships swarmed from every direction, their energy weapons painting the void with deadly light. Gordon's sensors screamed warnings as dozens of enemy vessels locked onto his position. "Evasive maneuvers," he barked, and the ancient fleet responded as one. They weaved through the oncoming fire with impossible grace, their shields flaring but holding against the onslaught. Despite their superior technology, the sheer number of Draconis ships began to slow their advance. For every enemy vessel they destroyed, 2 more seemed to take its place. Gordon gritted his teeth, knowing that every second lost brought Earth closer to annihilation. Suddenly, his calm crackled to life. Dr. Reyes's voice cut through the din of battle, tight with excitement. "Commander, we've made a breakthrough. I'm transmitting data on how to enhance your energy weapons using the Progenitor's database." Gordon's eyes widened as he processed the incoming information. "Understood, Doctor. All ships, implement these upgrades immediately." As the data flowed through the neural link, Gordon felt the Progenitor's systems shift and recalibrate. Energy surged through the weapons array, the familiar hum rising to a near-deafening pitch. When he fired, the result was staggering. A lance of pure energy erupted from the progenitor, cutting through the Draconis ships like they were made of paper. Around him, the rest of the human fleet unleashed similarly enhanced attacks, carving swaths of destruction through the enemy formation. The tide of battle shifted, but the Draconis were far from defeated. As Gordon pressed forward, his sensors detected a massive energy signature entering the fray. A behemoth vessel, easily twice the size of the progenitor, emerged from the sea of smaller ships. "Umbra," Gordon whispered, recognizing the distinctive design of the Draconis commander's flagship. The vessel's weapons blazed to life, matching the power of the ancient human ships with terrifying ease. Gordon's mind raced. They were so close to the superweapon, but Umbra's arrival changed everything. He knew they couldn't ignore this new threat. "Squadron, split up," he ordered. "Half of you continue the assault on the superweapon. The rest, with me. We're taking on Umbra's flagship." As his reduced force engaged the Draconis commander, Gordon received another transmission. This time, it was Colonel Steele's gruff voice that filled the cockpit. "Gordon, we're launching everything we've got from the ground. When you see the missiles, push hard. It might be your only chance to get through." Moments later, the sky lit up as Earth's remaining missile installations unleashed their payloads. The synchronized barrage caught the Draconis fleet off guard, creating brief gaps in their formation. Gordon seized the opportunity, leading his ships in a daring charge towards Umbra's flagship. Energy weapons flashed between the two forces, each side probing for weaknesses. But for every hit they scored, Umbra's shields held firm. Drawing on the knowledge gained from the progenitor, Gordon attempted a risky maneuver. "Form up in delta pattern," he commanded. "Prepare to channel all weapon energy on my mark." His ships fell into formation, their systems linking up in a complex network. Gordon took a deep breath, knowing the risk they were about to take. Now, a single devastating beam erupted from their combined weapons, slamming into Umbra's flagship with unimaginable force. For a moment, it seemed as if the gambit had failed. Then, with a flash of blinding light, the Draconis vessel's shields overloaded and collapsed. Cheers erupted over the comm system, but Gordon's elation was short-lived. The massive energy expenditure had left his ships vulnerable, their shields and weapons temporarily offline. Umbra, ever the skilled tactician, immediately launched a counterattack. Draconis fighters swarmed Gordon's disabled vessels, their weapons tearing through unprotected hulls. "Fall back!" Gordon shouted, watching helplessly as several of his ships erupted into silent explosions. As they retreated to regroup, an urgent message came through from the team assaulting the superweapon. "Commander, we've breached the outer defenses, but we can't get to the core. The weapon, it's powering up." Gordon's blood ran cold as he processed the implications. If the superweapon fired, it would trigger catastrophic tectonic events across the globe. Earth would be rendered uninhabitable within hours. Time seemed to slow as Gordon weighed his options. They were out of time, out of resources, and quickly running out of hope. There was only one choice left. "All ships, focus fire on Umbra's flagship," he ordered, his voice calm despite the storm of emotions raging within him. "I'm going for the superweapon." Before anyone could object, Gordon pushed the progenitor's engines to their limit, accelerating on a direct course towards the Draconis weapon. Alarms blared throughout the cockpit as he bypassed safety protocols, pushing the ancient ship beyond its designed limits. Umbra, realizing Gordon's intent, broke off his attack on the other vessels and gave chase. The two commanders engaged in a high-stakes game of cat and mouse, weaving through debris fields and energy barrages as they neared the superweapon. Gordon's sensors screamed warnings as the weapon's energy levels spiked. He was out of time. Closing his eyes, he prepared for the final suicidal run that would either save Earth or doom it forever. Suddenly, a new energy signature appeared on his scanners. A massive ship burst from Earth's atmosphere, its design unmistakably similar to the progenitor. Dr. Reyes's voice, filled with a mixture of excitement and fear, came through the comm. Commander, I've launched the progenitor's sister ship. We found a way to get it airborne. Transmitting data now. This could be our last chance. As Gordon processed the incoming information, he saw the new ship, piloted by Dr. Reyes herself, unleash a barrage of fire that scattered Umbra's forces. A strange energy beam lanced out, enveloping Gordon's ship in a shimmering field. That shield will let you phase through the superweapon's outer shell, Reyes explained hurriedly. You can reach the core, Gordon. You can end this. With renewed perseverance, Gordon accelerated towards the superweapon. Umbra, realizing the threat, launched a final desperate attack. The space around them became a maelstrom of energy weapons and explosions. Protected by the mysterious technology, Gordon's ship plunged towards the heart of the Draconis weapon. As he passed through layer after layer of alien machinery, he caught a glimpse of Umbra's flagship, still in pursuit, being battered by fire from Reyes and the remaining human fleet. The superweapon's core loomed before him, a pulsing mass of energy that held the fate of Earth in its grasp. Gordon's hands tightened on the controls as he prepared for impact, knowing that the next few moments would determine the future of humanity. The progenitor's systems hummed around him, ready for one final daring plan. As his ship hurtled towards the core, Gordon allowed himself a moment of hope. Whatever the outcome, humanity had proven itself a force to be reckoned with. The Draconis had awakened a sleeping giant, and now they would face the consequences. With a silent prayer, Gordon closed his eyes and braced for impact. As Gordon's ship phased through the superweapon's outer shell, he found himself immersed in a labyrinth of alien technology. The progenitor's protective field shimmered around him, casting an eerie blue glow on the metallic surfaces within. Immediately, Gordon's sensors lit up with warnings. A series of automated defense turrets swiveled to face him, their barrels glowing with charged energy. Drawing on his newfound understanding of the ancient human technology, Gordon's fingers danced across the controls. The progenitor responded instantly, executing a series of impossibly tight maneuvers. Energy bolts sizzled past, missing the ship by mere inches. Gordon's mind raced, processing the flood of data from the ship's sensors. He spotted a pattern in the defense system's targeting algorithms and exploited it, weaving through the hail of fire with increasing confidence. As he penetrated deeper into the heart of the weapon, the internal structure became more complex. Massive conduits pulsed with strange energies, and holographic displays flickered with alien symbols. Gordon's neural link with the progenitor worked overtime, translating what it could of the Draconis technology. Outside, the battle raged on. Dr. Reyes, piloting the progenitor's sister ship, engaged Umbra's flagship in a titanic duel. The two behemoths traded salvos of energy weapons, each impact sending shockwaves through space. "Come on, you overgrown lizard," Reyes muttered through gritted teeth. She executed a complex series of maneuvers, drawing on the vast knowledge stored in the progenitor's database. The ship responded beautifully, dancing through space with a grace that belied its massive size. Umbra's flagship struggled to keep up, its movements becoming increasingly erratic. Reyes saw her opening and took it, unleashing a devastating barrage that overwhelmed a section of the Draconis ship's shields. Back on Earth, Colonel Steele watched the orbital battle unfold on a massive holographic display. He keyed his comm, his voice tense but controlled. "All remaining orbital defense platforms, redirect fire to support the progenitor. Give Dr. Reyes everything we've got." A chorus of acknowledgments echoed through the command center. Moments later, lances of energy streaked up from Earth's surface, joining the progenitor's assault on Umbra's flagship. Inside the superweapon, Gordon finally reached the central core. What he saw there made his breath catch in his throat. A swirling vortex of darkness hung suspended in a containment field, tendrils of energy arcing out from its surface. "A captured singularity," Gordon whispered, awe and terror mingling in his voice. He knew instantly that simply destroying this would unleash unimaginable devastation. With time running out, Gordon interfaced the progenitor systems with the superweapon's controls. Alien symbols and diagrams flashed across his neural link faster than he could consciously process. He let his instincts guide him, trusting in the connection between his mind and the ancient ship. Suddenly, the entire structure shuddered. Alarms blared through Gordon's cockpit as the superweapon began its firing sequence. On Earth, the effects were immediate and catastrophic. Cities crumbled as massive earthquakes tore through the planet's crust. Volcanoes long thought dormant roared to life, spewing ash and lava into the atmosphere. Tsunamis hundreds of feet high raced towards coastlines, swallowing entire regions. Colonel Steele's command center rocked violently. Status reports flooded in from around the globe, each more dire than the last. "Gordon," Steele growled into his comm, "whatever you're going to do it fast. We're running out of time down here." Gordon's fingers flew across the progenitor's controls, interfacing deeper with the superweapon systems. He initiated a shutdown sequence, only to be met with layer upon layer of safeguards and fail-safes. In orbit, the battle between Reyes and Umbra reached its climax. The progenitor, supported by Earth's remaining defenses, executed a series of lightning-fast attacks. Umbra's flagship, its shields faltering, took hit after punishing hit. Reyes targeted the Draconis ship's propulsion systems and weapons arrays with surgical precision. Explosions blossomed along the flagship's hull as critical systems overloaded. Inside the superweapon, Gordon made a fateful decision. He opened himself fully to the neural link, allowing his consciousness to merge with the progenitor's systems. The rush of information was overwhelming, threatening to drown out his very sense of self. Using this direct connection, Gordon forced the Draconis systems to recognize him as an authorized user. The superweapon's energy buildup began to subside, its effect on Earth's tectonics slowly stabilizing. But the strain on Gordon was immense. His vision blurred, his thoughts fragmenting under the onslaught of alien data. With a final Herculean effort, he completed the shutdown sequence. Then darkness claimed him. As Gordon's consciousness faded, the progenitor's AI took over. It used the superweapon systems to broadcast a powerful signal across the battlefield, scrambling Draconis communications and control systems. In orbit, Reyes seized the opportunity. The progenitor's weapons lanced out, tearing through the flagship's weakened defenses. Umbra's mighty vessel, pride of the Draconis fleet, began to break apart. But Umbra himself was not finished. In the chaos of his ship's destruction, he activated an emergency teleportation device. In a flash of energy, the Draconis commander vanished, escaping the death of his flagship. With their leader gone and their superweapon neutralized, the Draconis invasion force fell into disarray. The human fleet, bolstered by more ancient ships rising from Antarctica, pressed their advantage. Alien vessels fled in all directions, driven back from Earth's orbit. As the immediate threat subsided, Dr. Reyes led a team to board the now-dormant superweapon. They found Gordon slumped in his seat, unresponsive but alive. His mind remained linked to the alien systems, processing vast amounts of information about the Draconis, their technology, and their empire. The medical team worked feverishly, struggling to safely disconnect Gordon without causing permanent damage. His brain waves were erratic, spiking and falling in patterns never before seen in a human mind. On Earth, the celebrations of victory were cut short. Colonel Steele received a troubling report from the long-range sensor stations. A massive Draconis fleet, far larger than the force they had just defeated, was approaching from the outer solar system. Steele's face was grim as he addressed his staff. "We've won the battle, but the war is nowhere near the end. That fleet out there? It's commanded by Umbra himself, and it's coming straight for us." As preparations for this new threat began, all eyes turned to the unconscious form of Gordon. The knowledge locked in his mind might be the key to humanity's survival. But first, they had to find a way to wake him up. As Gordon lay unconscious, his mind still linked to the alien systems, Dr. Reyes took charge of the progenitor. Her fingers flew across the ship's controls, initiating an emergency protocol she had discovered buried deep within the ancient database. "This is our only chance," she muttered, her eyes fixed on the holographic display. Initiating neural bridge between Gordon and the progenitor's AI. The ship's systems hummed to life, energy coursing through conduits that hadn't been active for millennia. Gordon's body jerked slightly as the connection solidified, forming a hybrid consciousness that merged his human mind with the vast knowledge of the progenitor's artificial intelligence. Reyes watched anxiously as streams of data flowed across her screens. "Come on, Gordon," she whispered. "We need you." Meanwhile, on Earth, Colonel Steele stood before a massive holographic display of the solar system. Red dots representing the approaching Draconis fleet filled the outer reaches, their numbers overwhelming. "Deploy all available ships to these coordinates," Steele ordered, highlighting key positions around Earth's orbit. "We need to establish a defensive perimeter immediately." His staff scrambled to relay the orders. Within minutes, the remaining ships of the ancient fleet, freshly repaired using the self-regenerating technology found in Antarctica, moved into position. They formed a protective shell around the planet, their gleaming hulls a last line of defense against the alien threat. As the tension mounted, a new voice crackled over the command center's speakers. "This is Admiral Zhao reporting from Mars Station. Colonel Steele, I have critical information regarding the approaching Draconis fleet." Steele's eyes narrowed. "Go ahead, Admiral." "Sir, our deep space scans indicate this isn't just a military force. We're looking at a full-scale colonization armada. They're not here to conquer Earth. They intend to claim it as their new homeworld." A heavy silence fell over the command center. Steele's eyes hardened as he processed the implications. "Understood, Admiral. What's the status of our Mars defenses?" "We've activated a series of hidden platforms around the planet. They should slow the Draconis advance, but they won't stop them entirely." As Steele contemplated their next move, Dr. Reyes's voice cut in urgently. "Colonel, we've made contact with Gordon's consciousness. The hybrid AI is providing critical data on Draconis tactics and technology. We're transmitting upgrade specifications for our fleet's shields and weapons now." Steele nodded to his chief engineer. "Implement those upgrades immediately. Every second counts." The command center burst into frenzied activity as technicians and engineers worked to reconfigure Earth's defenses. Steele watched the holographic display, noting with grim satisfaction as the friendly indicators shifted, showing enhanced capabilities. Suddenly, the hybrid Gordon AI consciousness spoke through the progenitor's communication systems. Its voice was a strange blend of Gordon's familiar tones and something distinctly inhuman. "Hey, Colonel Steele, we've uncovered a hidden function within the captured Draconis superweapon. By reversing its polarity, we can transform it into an energy projector capable of significantly boosting our fleet's power systems." Steele hesitated for only a moment before making his decision. "Do it. We need every advantage we can get." As the modifications to the superweapon began, alarms blared across the command center. Admiral Zhao's voice rang out, tense but controlled. "Draconis fleet has reached Mars orbit, engaging with defense platforms now." The holographic display lit up with new data as the battle for Mars began. The hidden platforms unleashed a barrage of energy weapons, catching the front lines of the Draconis fleet by surprise. Explosions blossomed in the void of space as alien ships were torn apart by the unexpected resistance. Commander Umbra's voice, filled with rage, echoed through intercepted communications. "Split the fleet, crush those defenses, and push on to Earth." The massive alien armada divided, with a significant portion remaining to deal with Mars, while the main force continued its relentless advance towards Earth. Back on Earth, Dr. Reyes stood before the modified superweapon, now integrated into the planet's defense network. "Powering up now," she announced, her voice steady despite the sweat beading on her forehead. The device hummed to life, energy building to levels that made the air crackle with static. Suddenly, all communications across the solar system went dark. For several heart-stopping moments, Earth's defenders were blind. Then, just as suddenly, the systems came back online. Reyes's eyes widened as she processed the new data. Colonel Steele, the ancient fleet, their capabilities have increased exponentially. Shields are operating at unprecedented levels, and weapon power has more than tripled. Steele allowed himself a small smile. Then it's time we took the fight to them. All ships moved to intercept Umbra's main force. As Earth's enhanced fleet moved into position, the hybrid Gordon AI consciousness provided a stream of tactical data. It outlined a strategy that utilized the ancient ship's superior maneuverability to create a constantly shifting defense grid. The first clash between the two forces was nothing short of spectacular. Earth's ships danced through space, their formation constantly changing, making it nearly impossible for the Draconis to land a solid hit. Meanwhile, the enhanced human weapons tore through alien shields with frightening efficiency. But the Draconis numbers were vast, and for every ship they lost, it seemed two more took its place. The battle spread across the inner solar system, with skirmishes erupting from Venus's orbit to the asteroid belt. As the conflict raged, Dr. Reyes worked tirelessly to safely disconnect Gordon from the alien systems. She developed a procedure to gradually transfer his consciousness back to his body while retaining the crucial information he'd acquired. "It's working," she murmured, watching Gordon's brainwave pattern slowly normalize. "But it's going to take time we might not have." In the command center, Colonel Steele watched the battle unfold with growing concern. Despite their enhanced capabilities, Earth's fleet was vastly outnumbered. Reports from Mars grew increasingly desperate as the Draconis forces there pushed closer to overrunning the planet's defenses. And then a new alert flashed across the holographic display. Commander Umbra's flagship was on the move, gathering a massive portion of the Draconis fleet around it. "He's preparing for a final coordinated assault," Steele realized aloud. "If they break through our lines—" He left the thought unfinished, but everyone in the command center understood the implications. The enhanced fleet was Earth's last line of defense. If it fell, there would be nothing standing between humanity and total annihilation. As Umbra's forces began their approach, tension mounted across Earth's defenses. The next few hours would determine not just the outcome of the battle, but the very future of the human race. As Umbra's forces began their approach, tension mounted across Earth's defenses. The next few hours would determine not just the outcome of the battle, but the very future of humanity. The enhanced human fleet held its ground, a shimmering barrier of advanced technology against the overwhelming Draconis armada. The modified superweapon, now seamlessly integrated into Earth's defense network, pulsed with energy. Its effect was immediately apparent as the ancient human ships matched the Draconis vessels in both firepower and defensive capabilities. Aboard the progenitor, Dr. Reyes hunched over a complex array of holographic displays, her fingers dancing across the controls as she initiated the delicate process of disconnecting Gordon's consciousness from the alien systems. "Initiating neural decoupling," she announced, her voice tense, synaptic load at 87% and holding. Gordon's body twitched on the medical bed, his eyes moving rapidly beneath closed lids. As Reyes carefully adjusted the parameters, monitoring every fluctuation in his brainwaves, Gordon's mind began its perilous journey back to full humanity. Suddenly, Gordon's back arched and he let out a strangled gasp. His eyes flew open, unfocused and wild. "Draconis, homeworld," he muttered, his voice hoarse. "Vast empire, spanning galaxies." Reyes leaned in, her face a mix of concern and fascination. "What else, Gordon? What do you see?" But Gordon's eyes had already closed again, his consciousness slipping back into the depths of the alien knowledge. On Mars, Admiral Zhao stood in the control center of the primary defense platform, watching as the Draconis fleet steadily advanced despite the heavy resistance from the hidden defenses. "We can't hold them much longer," his second-in-command reported grimly. Zhao nodded, his face set in unyielding commitment. "Then it's time for our last resort. Initiate Operation Avalanche." Throughout the Martian polar regions, hidden explosives detonated in precise sequence. The ice caps shattered, releasing a massive cloud of debris and ice into orbit. The Draconis ships, caught off guard by this unexpected move, found themselves suddenly navigating a treacherous field of fast-moving projectiles. Direct hit on Draconis flagship, an officer called out excitedly. Zhao allowed himself a small smile. That should slow them down. Send word to Earth. We've bought them some time, but they need to make it count. Back on Earth, Colonel Steele was about to issue new orders when an urgent transmission cut through the command center's communications. This is Lyra, former chief scientist of the Draconis Empire. A clear, feminine voice announced. I seek to defect and offer critical intelligence to Earth's defenders. Steele's eyes narrowed. Verify and secure this channel immediately, he ordered. As his staff scrambled to comply, Lyra continued, her words rapid and precise. The Draconis ships have a fatal flaw in their propulsion systems. A properly calibrated energy pulse can trigger a cascading failure, rendering their entire fleet powerless. Steele leaned forward, his interest piqued. And why should we trust you? There was a pause before Lyra responded, her voice tinged with what seemed like genuine remorse. Because I helped create those systems, and I can no longer stand by while my people destroy world after world in their relentless expansion. As Steele's team worked to verify Lyra's claims, the hybrid Gordon AI consciousness sprung into action. It rapidly analyzed the new information, correlating it with the vast database of Draconis knowledge. Colonel Steele, the hybrid voice echoed through the command center. I have devised a strategy to exploit this weakness. We can use our superior maneuverability to lure the Draconis fleet into a specific formation, then trigger the chain reaction. Steele nodded, his mind already racing through the tactical implications. What's the catch? The timing must be precise, the hybrid consciousness replied, and our own ships will be at significant risk during the maneuver. Before Steele could respond, Dr. Reyes's voice cut in urgently. Colonel, we've had a breakthrough with Gordon. He's regaining consciousness while maintaining a connection to the progenitor's systems. On the medical bed, Gordon's eyes fluttered open. This time, they were clear and focused. He sat up slowly, wincing slightly as he adjusted to the sensation of being back in his own body. The plan will work, Gordon said, his voice stronger now. But we need to refine the energy pulse. I can interface directly with the progenitor to make the necessary adjustments. As Gordon worked with the ship's systems, fine-tuning the strategy, the battle outside reached a fever pitch. Commander Umbra, sensing the changing tide, issued new orders to his fleet. Regroup and consolidate. Umbra's voice boomed across the Draconis communication channels. We end this now, with one final assault on the human homeworld. The massive Draconis armada began to shift, thousands of ships moving into a tight, arrow-like formation aimed directly at Earth. It was a bold, aggressive move, and exactly what the human defenders had been waiting for. All ships execute Maneuver Omega, Steele commanded, his voice steady despite the tension. Lure them in, make them think we're on the ropes. The enhanced human fleet sprang into action, their movements a perfectly choreographed dance in the void of space. They feinted and retreated, drawing the Draconis ships deeper into the trap. Aboard the progenitor, Gordon's fingers flew across the alien controls, his mind seamlessly interfacing with the ship's vast intelligence. Energy pulse calibrated, he announced. Ready on your mark, Colonel. Steele watched the holographic display intently, waiting for the perfect moment. The Draconis fleet crept closer, their formation tightening as they prepared for what they thought would be the killing blow. Now, Steele shouted. Gordon unleashed the energy pulse, a wave of invisible force rippling out from the progenitor. For a moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then, like dominoes falling in slow motion, the Draconis ships began to falter. Their engines sputtered and died, leaving them drifting helplessly in space. All ships engage, Steele ordered. The human fleet pounced, their weapons tearing through the now vulnerable Draconis vessels. Explosions blossomed in the darkness of space as ship after ship succumbed to the onslaught. In the chaos, Gordon spotted Umbra's flagship, its massive form still operational thanks to redundant systems. Without hesitation, he directed the progenitor towards it, pushing the ancient ship to its limits. "Gordon, what are you doing?" Dr. Reyes asked, alarmed. "Ending this," Gordon replied grimly, "once and for all." The two vessels clashed in a spectacular display of advanced technology, their weapons lighting up the space around Earth. Gordon's deeper understanding of the progenitor systems gave him an edge, but Umbra's skill and desperation made him a formidable opponent. As the one-on-one battle raged, the tide of the larger conflict turned decisively in humanity's favor. The Draconis fleet, once seemingly invincible, now lay in ruins. Umbra, realizing the inevitability of defeat, made a final desperate decision. He input new coordinates into his ship's navigation system, aiming his crippled vessel directly at Earth. "If I cannot have this world," Umbra snarled, "then no one will." Gordon's eyes widened as he realized Umbra's intent. The Draconis flagship, massive and dense, would cause catastrophic damage if it impacted the planet's surface. Without hesitation, Gordon pushed the progenitor to its absolute limits, racing to intercept Umbra's plummeting vessel. The fate of humanity hung in the balance as the two ships hurtled towards Earth's atmosphere, locked in a deadly embrace. As they breached the upper layers of the atmosphere, Gordon's mind raced through possible solutions. The progenitor's weapons could destroy Umbra's ship, but the resulting debris would still cause significant damage. He needed another way. With seconds to spare, Gordon made his decision. He reached out with the progenitor systems, establishing a direct link with Umbra's flagship. As the alien commander realized what was happening, it was already too late. Gordon unleashed every ounce of the progenitor's power, not to destroy, but to alter. The energy engulfed both ships, changing their trajectory and molecular structure. As they plunged deeper into the atmosphere, the two vessels began to break apart, their components scattering and burning up harmlessly in the upper atmosphere. On the ground, millions watched in awe as the sky lit up with a dazzling display of light, like a grand finale of cosmic fireworks. In command centers and on ships throughout the solar system, tense silence gave way to cautious hope. Had Gordon succeeded? Was the threat finally over? As the last traces of the re-entry burns faded from the sky, all eyes turned toward the heavens, waiting for a sign of what was to come. Come. The tension in the air was palpable as everyone waited for any sign of Gordon or the progenitor. Suddenly, a blinding flash erupted in the sky, bathing the entire planet in an otherworldly glow. The collision between the progenitor and Umbra's flagship sent shockwaves rippling through Earth's upper atmosphere, creating a dazzling spectacle visible from every corner of the globe. In the command center, Colonel Steele squinted at the holographic display, his heart racing. "Status report," he barked, his voice tight with almost unchecked anxiety. For several agonizing seconds, there was nothing but static. Then a familiar voice crackled through the speakers. "This is Gordon, we're still here." A collective gasp of relief swept through the room as the progenitor emerged from the fireball, its advanced shields glowing white-hot but holding firm. Gordon's voice came through again, strained but determined. "I've managed to halt the flagship's descent, but we're in a precarious position. We need support, fast." Dr. Reyes, who had been monitoring the situation from her station, immediately sprang into action. "Colonel, if we redirect power from the modified superweapon, we might be able to create a stabilizing field around both ships." Steele nodded sharply. "Do it!" Reyes's fingers flew across her console, initiating a complex series of commands. Outside, the remaining defense systems hummed to life, channeling enormous amounts of energy upwards. A shimmering field materialized around the two massive vessels, now locked together in low Earth orbit. "Field stabilized," Reyes announced, her brow furrowed in concentration. "But the strain on our systems is immense. We can't maintain this indefinitely." Gordon's voice came through again, clearer this time. Understood. I'm leading a boarding party into Umbra's flagship. We'll end this here and now. Inside the joined ships, Gordon led a team of elite soldiers through the damaged corridors of the Draconis vessel. The air was thick with acrid smoke and the stench of fried circuits. Emergency lights flickered, casting eerie shadows that danced across the alien architecture. Stay alert, Gordon warned as they approached a junction. We don't know how many of them survived the impact. No sooner had the words left his mouth than a group of Draconis warriors rounded the corner, their scales gleaming dully in the low light. For a split second, both sides froze, sizing each other up. Then chaos erupted. The human soldiers, armed with weapons reverse-engineered from the ancient fleet, unleashed a barrage of energy bolts. The Draconis returned fire, their own weapons leaving scorch marks on the bulkheads. Gordon ducked behind a twisted piece of metal, his mind racing. He reached out with his newfound connection to the ship's systems, searching for a way to turn the tide. Suddenly, he felt a surge of power at his fingertips. "Everyone, cover your eyes," he shouted. With a thought, Gordon overloaded the corridor's lighting system. A blinding flash filled the space, momentarily stunning the Draconis warriors. The human team capitalized on the advantage, quickly neutralizing the alien defenders. As they pushed deeper into the ship, Gordon couldn't shake a gnawing feeling in his gut. Something about this didn't add up. The Draconis, for all their aggression, were an advanced species. What could have driven them to such desperate measures? Finally, they reached the bridge. The doors had been sealed, but Gordon interfaced with the ship's systems once more, overriding the security protocols. With a hiss of hydraulics, the massive doors slid open. Commander Umbra stood at the center of the bridge, surrounded by the few remaining members of his crew. His scales, once lustrous, now bore the marks of battle. But it was the look in his eyes that caught Gordon off guard, not the hatred or defiance he expected, but a profound weariness. "So," Umbra said, his voice a low rumble, "you've come to finish us off." Gordon stepped forward, his weapon lowered but ready. "It doesn't have to end this way, Commander. Surrender, and we can stop this madness." Umbra's eyes narrowed. "You don't understand, human. We had no choice. Our empire faces extinction." "Explain," Gordon demanded, his curiosity piqued. Umbra seemed to deflate slightly, the weight of his words bearing down on him. "Our home systems are dying, resources depleted, stars fading. Earth, with its abundant resources and the hidden ancient fleet, represented our last hope for survival." Gordon's mind raced, processing this new information. He thought of the vast knowledge he had gained from interfacing with the alien systems, the incredible potential of combining human and Draconis technologies. "There's another way," Gordon said, his voice firm but not unkind. "A way that doesn't involve conquest or destruction." Umbra's head tilted slightly, a gesture Gordon recognized as curiosity. "Go on." "An alliance," Gordon proposed. "Humanity and the Draconis working together to explore the galaxy. We could seek out new resources, new habitable worlds. The ancient human technology combined with your expertise. Think of what we could achieve." The bridge fell silent as Umbra considered Gordon's words. The tension was palpable, both sides acutely aware that the fate of two species hung in the balance. Finally, Umbra spoke. "You would trust us after all we've done?" Gordon met the alien commander's gaze steadily. "Trust has to start somewhere, and right now we have a common enemy, extinction. Together we stand a better chance of survival than we do alone." Umbra was silent for a long moment, his alien features unreadable. Then slowly, he nodded. "Very well, human. You have shown wisdom beyond your years. I agree to your terms." With those words, the atmosphere on the bridge shifted. The remaining Draconis crew members visibly relaxed, some even expressing what Gordon interpreted as relief. Umbra turned to his communications officer. "Send word to all Draconis forces. We are standing down. The war is over." As the message was relayed, Gordon felt a weight lift from his shoulders. He activated his own comm link. "Colonel Steele, this is Gordon. Commander Umbra has agreed to a ceasefire. We're proposing an alliance between our species. There was a moment of stunned silence before Steele's voice came through, a mix of disbelief and cautious optimism. Understood, Gordon. We'll begin coordinating with global leaders immediately. As Gordon and Umbra began discussing the immediate next steps, reports started flooding in from across the solar system. Admiral Zhao, broadcasting from a hidden base beneath the Martian surface, confirmed that Draconis ships were standing down, many crews eager to end the conflict. On Earth, the ancient fleet sprang into action, its advanced technology now fully awakened. The massive ships moved with grace, clearing orbital debris and beginning the monumental task of repairing the damage done during the invasion. In the Antarctic hangar where it all began, Dr. Reyes and her team were already hard at work, collaborating with the first group of Draconis scientists to arrive on Earth. The atmosphere was charged with excitement as two vastly different technological approaches began to merge, each breakthrough opening up new possibilities. As Gordon watched the activity unfolding around him, he couldn't help but feel a sense of awe. In the span of a few hours, they had gone from the brink of annihilation to the threshold of a new era. The path ahead would be challenging, fraught with obstacles and misunderstandings to overcome. But as he looked out at the stars, visible through the flagship's view screen, Gordon felt a surge of hope. Humanity had faced its greatest test and emerged not just victorious, but with an opportunity to reach heights they had never dreamed possible. The universe, vast and mysterious, awaited them, and now they would face it not as conquerors or victims, but as explorers and allies.
You have reached the end of the story. If you enjoyed this story and want to support us, please leave a like and subscribe to our channel, and for every comment that says 88, I will heart every single one of them. Thank you for your time.